Well, with being holistic, I believe it's benefited my cerebral palsy in ways that it's it's been a blessing because with being holistic, I am mindful with everything I eat, and I try not to put the peanut butter cups in my mouth. Although that is my weakness, everyone knows it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Carpe Diem Living the Podcast. I am your host, Shane Gitmed, and today we have someone by the name of Wynn Charles, who's going to tell us about her journey with holistic medicine and all the things. So, Wynn, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Shane, for having me on. And my legal name is Wynn, W-I-N. Let's get it straight out of the box. And I have a neurological condition called cerebral palsy. And what that is a lack of oxygen injury at birth. And I discovered holistic plant microbiotic cooking in the 90s. And I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy back in 87. So I try and eat really healthy. And then I had a tragic loss, which sent me down a rabbit hole of looking at my own health. And that was when I lost my mom in 2010, and then on top of that, I lost my dad in 2019 to undiagnosed lung cancer.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's really, really rough when you lose your parents. And yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss, especially since your father passed not too long ago. It was just last year.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what have you noticed any, I guess, changes, or how has it benefited your condition? What's being holistic?
Well, with being holistic, I believe it's benefited my cerebral palsy in ways that it's been a blessing because with being holistic, I am mindful with everything I eat, and I try not to put the peanut butter cups in my mouth. Although that is my weakness, everyone knows it. And so I try to be eating as healthy as I can. And I do use essential oils on the occasion on my own body. Yes. And then I try, and I haven't eaten a piece of meat since December of 2019. And so I try and stay away from sugar and stay away from all that. But all in all, it's been a fairly interesting journey with cerebral palsy. And I'm actually getting in the process of getting diagnosed officially with asthma. And so that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun holistically. But I'm going to do it holistically and try not to use, I will use drugs when I have, but I will try not to, again, limit the sugar intake and limit the sweets intake. And I know these prescriptions weren't prescribed to me by a doctor. I decided to go holistic myself directly after my dad died.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, I have a referral for you when it comes to asthma, especially with herbs. Herbs can be really, really good for a lot of different conditions. And I know people that have had to take a certain herb blend to help with any asthma type symptoms, or if there's like mucus in the lungs, there's a lot that could help with that. So don't worry, I'll send you all the information for that. Yeah, it's a
Please,
great.
because I and my mother had asthma as well.
Wow.
So this new disability is not a
Yeah.
huge surprise to me. They actually diagnosed it as a lack of a movement cough. And I've been moving up and down all my life and doing
Hmm.
all that. I'm a workout buff. In the time of COVID, it's the only time I've stopped working out. So I'm thinking, lack of movement?
What is
Why?
it? Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's not it at all. And I talked to my doctor this morning and I said, this is not a lack of movement cough. This is asthma related. And she goes, well, let's pull your health records and see what it is. And I'm like, finally, after 33 years of battling doctors, finally you diagnosed me with my mother's disease after traipsing around going to asthma specialists with her and fighting with her about asthma, her own asthma. And they're like, no, this is a lack of movement cough. I'm like, no way. This is
Yeah.
not a lack of movement cough. This is asthma, because when I move and when I do work out, I feel better.
Right. And that's the thing is like when it comes to, trying to be your own health advocate, you will get that pushback sometimes from your doctors. Just like your doctor is like, no, 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 but you know your body, you know what
I know my body, and I
So exactly.
know my family history too.
Right,
And
right.
grandfather died of asthma in the 60s. And my mom had severe asthma, and it's like, no, this is not a lack of movement cough. This is asthma
Right,
related.
right. Yeah. And luckily, now that we have more awareness between, natural products, holistic methods to help with things like this. So I know you'll get a lot of benefits from the herbal specialist I'm going to send to you, because she makes blends for everything. I'm talking from eczema to, a lung formula to gout, because every herb has different properties, right, of what benefits they can do. So when you put different herbs all together, that blend can really get you the results you want. So I'm excited to send that to you after this.
Yeah.
Because it'll be really
I'm
nice.
excited to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you located in the world?
I am located in beautiful but temporarily shut down Aspen, Colorado. It's only
Got it.
temporarily shut down because of COVID, because
Okay.
of everything that's going on.
Right.
So I plan to be in the state of Colorado all my life, but I don't plan to be here in Aspen
Got
much,
it.
just because of my dad's death, and it's easier for me to move closer to a a smaller metropolitan city that has better doctor care and all that good stuff.
Got it. So, okay. So with the holistic method, so you also mentioned that you use essential oils. How does essential oils help you with either with your cerebral palsy or with anything else that you experience? Like what are the benefits that you see within yourself?
I see when I do use them, I see as far as my asthma, I actually feel better. And I also have a bad back as well. And so that helps as well, my bad back. And the trick is that I have now fallen in love with lavender oil.
I love lavender oil. It's so beautiful, right?
Lavender oil just saves me. So yeah, any of these essential oils that have lavender oil, I'm a big fan.
Yes. The lavender oil always makes me feel like I'm at a spa somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it just has that effect. So even if I'm just in my office or I'm just in my home, anytime it's coming out of the diffuser, I just naturally my mind goes to Zen and to relaxation. So aromatherapy really is a miracle. I love it. What other scents do you like? And do you like to use daily or often?
I drink infused waters of lemon. I'm looking at it right now, actually. As we record this, I'm drinking lemon and grapefruit, and essentially, I like orange essential oils when I don't have the water infused. So that really helps me because I'm not the type to drink water unless it has some
A taste.
flavoring in it. For years, I refused water. And people are like, when you can't refuse water, I'm like, oh no for me. And so then I said, okay, let's try the fruit infused water, and it's like, oh boy, here we go down the rabbit hole of that, and that's how I get my water into me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different water bottles where there's a section to put like your strawberries or if you want a lemon in there just to give it that taste. So there's those. And then what you're doing with essential oils, that's good. Do you use doTERRA for essential oils or do you use a different brand?
Use Young Living.
Young Living. Okay. Yeah. That's another great brand that people know.
Living. And I don't know if you can see that, but this is the best thing since sliced bread. And I use Young Living as well. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think your story is inspiring because especially having a disability, especially cerebral palsy, it's like, how do you work around that? You know, like because some people think that when you have a condition like that, it's almost like, well, what do I do? Like, how do I navigate, daily things and how do I function? So I think it's beautiful that you're very productive, you're into sports and you have a podcast, it's like you show other people that who cares, if I have this, I'm still going to do what I want to do and I'm strong. So I think that's beautiful that you're just being a great example to other people that there's no limitations regardless of a condition that you have.
Well, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. I try to be as inspirational as I can. And fortunately, with this podcast, I am very lucky that my fan base understands that I have cerebral palsy and I need help more than I would like to think. And I just am open and honest with my fan base, and they seem to love it.
Yes, that's great because there's some people that, it can take time to, accept, be very open about it, be very public about it. So I feel like, it's great when you can just own it, no matter what's going on in your life, you own it. And so that's great. So what inspired you to start your podcast? Because I love talking to other podcasters just to hear, like how did you get started with that? And just like your journey with that.
Well, I wrote book number 1, and book number 1 sent me on this podcasting journey / content creation journey. And book number 1 is about my life and my legacy. And I did my autobiography when I was 23. The updated version is out there too. There's 2 updated versions. And then after journalism school, which I'm completing in March of 2022, I'm going to be back at writing books and full-time content creation even more.
Wow. I applaud you. Writing books is not an easy feat. I'm a co-author in a book. Writing my own, maybe. I'm still thinking about it if I want to, do my own book. But see, you stay busy and that's great. So when you're not doing, holistic stuff and you're not in school, what do you do in your spare time?
I spare time. What's that? Spare time. I would like to e-bike. I have a e-bike. I haven't been on it just because of COVID and just because of social distancing and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm going to pull that bike back out and ride again because e-biking is wonderful and doing all that.
Yeah. So e-biking. Okay. So can you explain a little bit about that? I guess I was trying to imagine.
It's a normal bike. It's a normal bike with a motor on it. It's a electric bike.
Got it. Okay. And I mean, you're in Colorado, so you have great scenery and everything. It's just a matter of what's going on. It keeps you indoors. Yeah. Got it.
COVID right now is keeping me indoors and
I know.
driving me nuts.
Yeah.
And it's driving me nuts because I am so used to being on the go, going to physical therapy, going out for walks, going out this way, going out that way. But on the flip side, it's keeping me entertained with my podcast and it's actually keeping me focused on school.
Yeah.
So there's a blessing to COVID. It's actually keeping me focused on school now that I can't go out and play.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, even in California right now, that's where I'm based in. And I just heard from someone that they're even canceling hunting. So I'm just thinking about even for Colorado, you guys have all that open space, but they're still limiting on what you guys can do. So it's just kind of bizarre because I'm noticing a lot of mental health declining with people, even myself. There's days where I'm like, gosh, like this whole situation and what's going on in the world is really taking a toll. Like there's some good days and some bad days. And if you can't even go outside for a bike ride, that can really make an effect on you. So I think mental health is, a very big thing that we all need to really focus on and try really hard to not let it take over. And that's why essential oils is really great. Self-care, anything you do with your self-care. Speaking of self-care, what do you do as a natural self-care thing for yourself?
As a natural self-care, well, if I can get away with it, I do meetings in my PJs, and this will be during the day too.
Yeah.
If I can get away with it, I do meetings in my PJs, and I can't help it due to I have cerebral palsy and need help.
Right.
And if anyone asks me, if anyone catches me, which they have, in my PJs at odd hours, I'm like, I have cerebral palsy. I need help. And so deal with it.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, well, at least I'm here.
Yeah, and at least the body is here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that because there were times where I would have, when, it is a PJ type of day and I'll have a meeting. And if I'm not prepared that it's a video meeting, I'm like, oh, shoot. And I have to and because I have no experience.
I get the exceptions a little because I have cerebral palsy, but a lot of my fan base knows that, look, I need help. Undressing and dressing. So look, if I want to be in my PJs, I'll be in my PJs.
Yeah, take it or leave it. That's what I would say. Yeah, it's even, there's some people where they'll look like they'll wear like a normal top, but their bottoms are PJs, and that's fine. I mean, it's not like you have to stand up and do anything. So
that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, given the situation, it's fine. I'm sure like everyone's schedules are all jumbled up anyway. Yeah. So is there anyone that inspired you as far as like getting started with holistic medicine? Because sometimes all it takes is just running into someone online or coming across a website. Like, how did it come about for you?
Well, because I was so into it in the 90s, and then I fell off the wagon essentially and got my father's bad eating habits. And then I put myself back on the wagon in 2019. I think it would have to be my mom, or it would have to be a very close friend who got me back on actually two very close friends who actually got me back on the wagon in 2019. And I'm forever grateful that they did, because looking at how my dad suffered and was grumpy and was grumpy at the end, I'm like, no, dude, we're not doing this monkey dance about I want what I want, I'm on death's door. I'm like, dude, you have to be positive about it. And that didn't get through his head. He did not eat the healthiest. Mm-hmm. And so I am not trying to live his example. I'm trying to show people that you can eat healthy and you can live healthy with a disability.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you have any of your favorite holistic recipes, foods that you like? If someone were to get started slowly, they used to have bad eating habits, but now they want to eat better, what would you recommend?
Oh boy, I would. Okay, here's what I would recommend. If you love mac and cheese, or if you love brownies, try a zucchini brownie. Trust me, you guys, you're not going to regret. Google zucchini brownies, and it's the best. When a friend of mine told me there is such a thing as a zucchini brownie, I'm like, you're nuts. There's no way I'm going to try a brownie with zucchini in it. I'm like, you're nuts. No way. And then another friend makes one for me. And she goes, Win, try this. And I'm like, okay, what do you want me to try? And my version of a zucchini brownie. And I'm like, I told the last person that they were nuts. And I'm like, okay, only because I told the last person that they were nuts, that I trust you. I trust what you were doing. And ever since then, I try and eat my desserts as healthy as possible. Although, as I said, Reese's peanut butter cups are my weakness. So, although they do make healthy versions of peanut butter cups.
They do.
I'm lucky for that.
Yeah. No, I love when I can find alternative, snacks that emulate, the kind of, I guess, the junk that we grew up on, right? If you go to Sprouts or Whole Foods, they have plant-based cookies that are like Oreos, that are like, Chips Ahoy. And when I eat them every now and then, because I'm not too much of a big snacker, I feel like I'm not cheating, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still eating, a snack that's good for you, or not good for you, but it's better than the original version, so you don't feel bad if you indulge a little bit more than usual, because it's cleaner. So I'm like, okay, this is the way to go. Because my son loves cookies, and I'm just like, I don't want to give him all of these really bad brands at all.
No, and especially at home nowadays. I'm like,
he already bounces off walls.
There's between myself, my office, and the fridge, and it's like, okay, I have to walk those stairs to get to the fridge, and I'm like,
it helps you limit yourself, right? You're like, is it really worth going upstairs just for that? No.
Someone helps me with my food. So I can't cook due to my disability. So that's another advantage. When I sit down, I have to eat what's in front of me because I'm not going towards the fridge. I can't. I can't physically. I mean, I can't. So there's a stairway in between me and the fridge, which helps a lot.
Yeah. It's like that helps you like stay in line, I guess. That's so funny. But zucchini brownies, I will definitely have to try that soon because I've heard plenty about it too, but I've never taken the leap. So I'll definitely have to try that soon. Awesome. Because that's another thing is like when people think, eating healthy or natural, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to give up all my favorite things and I can't have good treats.
No, you can do it mindfully and you can do it nicely too.
Right. No, that's a great way to think about it. Cause I don't know if you've seen it, that meme where it says, what do vegans eat? And it's like ice cubes. Because they're just like, how can you eat like clean? You're basically taking everything out of your diet. But I think, now we have a lot more options because back in the day, there really weren't too many options like we do, like what we have now.
No, back in the day, there weren't too many options. And when I say back in the day, I'm talking about the 90s. And the last time I was stuck in a position where I had to go to McDonald's of all places. And I'm like, really? And the person that I was with said, well, we're normally not stuck in this position. And I'm like, my body doesn't do this. My body doesn't do McDonald's. My body, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And we told this person several times, we do not eat junk food in this house. And it's like people, they either listen or they don't.
Yeah, right. And that's where you really have to stay within your boundaries and not allow, the temptations, I guess, of all the other foods out there. It can be hard. It really can. Because of course it smells great, but we know that once you put it into your body, what is it going to do? It's just going to wreak havoc. So I think, being mindful with your food is probably the biggest lesson for sure that people will get out of this episode, because it can either cause more problems or benefit you in whatever condition you're in. So that's really great. So do you have any other tips that you think would be really helpful as far as like what has helped you with your holistic journey?
Well, get a good night's sleep. Try and get at least 8 hours of sleep. I can function on 6, but lower than that, I can't function. And so I get a good night's sleep, do self-care as much as you can, and listen to the Carpe Diem podcast as part of self-care. No, Shemaya didn't tell me to say that, but all in all, when it comes to a holistic health, do what you can for your body.
Yes, absolutely. And, that's why I just love talking to people that are in all different stages of life, because you just never know what you can pass on to someone else. And I just know our listeners are going to be really inspired to hear your story and to know that, despite everything, you can still take care of yourself even further and apply these methods that will only benefit you. So that's just wonderful. Where can our listeners find you, and tell them about your podcast where they can listen to that as well?
The listeners can find me all over the planet. I hang out on Facebook a little too much. I hang out on YouTube a little too much. And the listeners can find my podcast anywhere they listen too. And people can also find me at askwin.webelieve.com. And yeah, people can find me everywhere.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll be sure to put all your links into the show notes and description. And Wynn's already in our Podcast Insiders group. So if you'd like to connect with her, you can send her a message there. And yeah, she'll be on all of our channels. So so thank you so much again for coming on to the show. I really love talking to you. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.